Deep in the southwestern desert of Texas lies a unique cave system called Phantom Spring Cave. Texas had been going through one of the worst droughts in recorded history, with over 14 months without any precipitation, until the day we arrived. The ADM Exploration Foundation and Karst Underwater Research joined with Dr. Thomas Iliff of Texas A&M in a joint exploration science project. Upon our arrival to Phantom Spring, we were met by freezing cold temperatures and snow flurries, quickly turning to rain and mud. The first day's goal was to conduct a shakedown setup dive to the end of the known cave system, some 5,400 feet from the entrance. Explorers Brett Hemphill and Andy Pitkin, supported by Walter Pickle and Kurt Bowen, began setting up emergency bailout cylinders that were to be placed within the cave system every 1,500 feet of penetration. With the snow continuing to fall, Brett and Andy submerged with the end of the cave as their target. With an expected 4-hour dive runtime, Walter and Kurt awaited on the surface for their return. Upon their exit, we record their newest discoveries.
All right, tell me what you got.
Let Andrew tell you.
Come on, Andrew.
We got to the end of the line, and we both saw it as we came into the terminal room. We got to the end of the line, and there's obviously deeper passage going off to the left. So we followed the line to the end of where it ended, and we both expected it to end right there. And Brett tied in. We came back round, and it immediately started going deeper, and went down, and leveled out to about 130 feet. Yeah. Big power cave.
Yeah. We did one up and down and some decent passage, then we came over the top of this hill with some beautiful flat breakdown, and there is a room easily as big as from there all the way to the truck and over there.
Still crystal blue?
Crystal blue.
Oh, blue.
And the flow has all come together. I mean, as big as the cave was there, we were like,
absolute topaz.
You guys can you gonna take your scooters back there?
oh yeah. The fracture cave makes you feel like there's not a lot of flow up front, but once it turns into a borehole,
it's a big passage, and there's still quite a bit of flow.
I'm freezing right now.
Big.
You're cold.
We should put the hammocks up inside the cave.
Oh, it's so nice in there.
Day 2 brings cold temperatures but blue skies as the weather continues to improve. Anticipation for discovery mounts as Andy Pitkin describes the dive goals.
Well, yesterday Brett and I scooted to the end of the line where it ended in a breakdown room, and we both immediately saw a new lead, which subsequently went quite a bit deeper, leveled out at 130 feet, and we laid about 500 feet of line going. Now we've plotted the survey pretty much due south, which means a change from the previous westerly direction of the cave. And so today our plan is really to go and push the end of that line. Where we stopped, we're in pretty much very large borehole phreatic tunnel, which will hopefully continue. There's a substantial amount of flow, and there's no reason to suspect that it's going to change immediately. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen, so that's going to be part of it. If everything continues as hoped and it doesn't get significantly deeper, we hope to put in a substantial amount of new exploration. If it goes substantially deeper, we may have to turn around sooner. If it gets a lot shallower, then all bets are off, really. Anything could happen, so that's the beauty of exploration.
Once again, the safety team sits patiently on the surface, waiting for the exciting report of discovery.
It appears as though we brought a bit of Florida with us. On this particular dive, we put in about 400 feet of line, went to a max depth of 230, and can easily see where the cave is still dropping away.
At least 250. At least 250, no doubt about it.
We got all the survey's done. The cave is still very, very large, still a good amount of flow, definitely phreatic compared to the fracture type of cave in the shallower section. Certainly something we can still explore given the right type of gases. We're just too dialed in for a shallow cave to continue exploration at this time.
Unless we get helium.
Unless we get helium. That is correct.
What'd you find there, Brett?
The diamondback rattlesnake. He's warming up.
You better throw him when you put him down.
Alrighty.
Okay, go find a place to put him. Go ahead.
Day 3, Dr. Iliff and his team collect specimens as Walter Pickle and Kurt Bowen install the cave radio. Once in place, a surface receiver is used to locate the signal, allowing the team to pinpoint the cave's location, accurate within a few feet. After the cave radio is in position, the team treks out across the desert. Twisting and turning, moving over rough terrain, attempting to avoid the cactus thorns, Andy quickly zeroes in on the strongest signal, marking the exact cave location.
My name is Tom Iliff. I'm a professor of marine biology at Texas A&M University at Galveston. My research concerns studies the biology of animals inhabiting underwater caves. I'm doing studies in the Caribbean, in the Atlantic, Mediterranean area, and even the South Pacific. We're here in a cave in West Texas to look at the biology of this particular cave. It's interesting because this is the longest underwater cave that we know of in the western part of the United States. It's a cave that goes for very considerable distances. It's still in the process of being explored. And so as we are exploring this cave, we're looking for animals that are inhabiting it and are adapted specifically to this environment. As we're investigating these caves, one of the issues we're very much concerned about is conservation. These are one-of-a-kind habitats, and they're only known from very, very few places on the planet. The animals that inhabit them are oftentimes restricted to a single cave and known from nowhere else. So pollution, damage, destruction of these habitats will result in extinction of the unique species that are found within them. We're working with agencies of the federal government, particularly the Bureau of Reclamation that owns this cave, to help to understand the ecology of it and to work to protect and preserve this very fragile environment. We have a permit to study this cave that's issued by the Bureau of Reclamation, an agency of the federal government, and they are the owners of the cave and make very certain that any studies that are done in it meet the highest standards. In order to conduct the research that we're doing here, we've recruited a team of expert cave divers from around the country that are working with us to explore, to map, to photograph, and to document this unique habitat.
I've just come back from a dive to the downstream part of the cave, and the most notable thing about the downstream part compared with the upstream part is the very strong flow that's present throughout. It starts off very shallow as a series of interconnecting vertical fissures. You go through a couple of breakdown rooms, and then it winds its way through these vertical canyons, which are basically perpendicular onwards until it drops down to a depth of about 45 feet. It then continues, sometimes vertical canyons, sometimes ducks deeper into phreatic tube. I went downstream to the end of Bill Tucker's line, which was about 1,400 feet from the entrance, and tied in there, and the passage is continuing again with strong flow, descends from there down to the mid 60 feet, 65 feet or so, with very strong flow, as I said, a lot of clay on the floor, and lots and lots of turtle skeletons. Lots of very cool fossils in the limestone walls. And I continued, I put in about 450 feet of line, and turned around really when I got to the limit of my bailout. I then surveyed out, which was a very arduous process because the strong flow was making it extremely difficult to keep at any particular survey station, and basically I had to wedge myself into the passage in whichever way I could to try to get an azimuth and a depth reading, and then I would have to fish out my scooter from wherever it had gone behind me, scooter to the next station while counting knots, and then repeat the process again. So I got the whole thing surveyed, but it was a fairly arduous and tedious process. But it's not nearly as pretty as the upstream part of the cave. There's a lot of clay and a lot of silt in there, and it's much smaller, but the flow is very, very substantial. And I have no doubt that this is the main downstream conduit for the system.
Adios.